I'm Bulem Molebatsi, taking you through yet another groundbreaking edition of Stories Untold. Thank you for being here. We are coming to you all the way from Soweto, where our featured guest was born and raised. We are detailing the story of innovator Tamim Jali, a graduate chemical engineer from the University of Akron, Ohio, in the USA. While acquiring this degree, he suffered chronic ulcers. It was during that period that he invented an immune booster that healed him and would later heal others. Here is where it all began for him.
This is Tamim Jali. Born in Soweto, Mr. Mjali's life is one described as a miracle. Growing up in the dusty streets of Midlands, Mr. Mjali never thought he would one day create organic essential oils that would in turn heal him. His narrative goes a little something like this.
I was born in Gulizai, where the houses are like trains. So where there's no place to play in the front and in the back. The only place to play is the street. And in the street is gravel. So that's where I was born. And then from there, my parents sent us to Wamash. So that's when I started getting serious with life. So there, life changed. I became a student. I used to sell, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I used to sell Ugwayi, train station Gwamash. And I was the only one selling Ugwayi at that time because bonke abantu bebelele. But traffic yabantu beyiningi. So I got to know how to become a rich student at a very early age. One of my ace in school was that I was in mathematics bengithanda. So it became a lot easier to navigate from one school to the other because I would get into a class and be a top student in mathematics. So then, so everybody accepts me easily. Even though I was tiny, I was always the youngest in the class. And I mean, credit is due to my father because my father always knew when we come back from these boarding schools, where to take us in the township. So in all the disruption in schools, I never missed a year. So when I finished high school, I was 16. Okay. And I went to vet. My main issue was that I didn't pay any attention to the languages. My grades in high school was D Afrikaans, E English, and F Zulu. And then A biology, A mathematics, A science. So I never paid any attention because I thought languages are ngiyayazi msa ngiyayikhuluma ekhaya. So it was so I couldn't qualify to get into the engineering school at Wits. So therefore they told me, go and find a space at a black university. 16 years old. I took a train, I went to Alice, Eforte, Galella, went back to the same train, I built a car. The next day, took another train, went to Teflop, nakhona yafika laphana, built a car. So ngathi ngizongena nakanjani eVets. Now this is January, so yonke into seyiqalile. So ngiyabuza ke admission office, are there any classes ze-BSc ezila eVets that are not there in black schools? But yes, into which ones? But archaeology and genetics. I'll take genetics. That's how I got into this. You are moving all along with all that courage, but you don't have cash.
Despite lack of money, Mr. Mjali's childhood had many signs of good things to come. His family always pushed him to fix his eyes on education.
First year, I was one of the top mathematics major students. Among all the engineers, among all the PSCs, I was one of the top mathematics, which earned me a prize, a GR Bozzoli, which was handed by the Oppenheimer. And this is when I got a scholarship to go and study in the USA. Even then, it was a very funny thing because it was my brother who applied for 2 scholarships, one for him and one for me, to go and study in the USA. My brother is the smartest guy. I mean, he used to be my idol. And even though we were with 1.5 years, I used to admire him because he would pray as if uNkulunkulu sezongena manje esontweni. But he didn't get the scholarship. I got the scholarship. So like, wow, how did that happen? So I had a guilty conscience. I left my brother home as I was studying in the USA.
Welcome back to the show. We continue with the story of Tamim Jali, who today is known for his medical invention that has put a spotlight on the use of traditional herbal medicine. Let's see.
In his early teens, Tamim Jali flew to the United States of America to pursue his tertiary studies. Although he had chronic ulcers, he didn't allow anything to deter his dreams.
I was 17 when I arrived in the USA, and that's when I learned how to become so independent. The scholarship said 4 years, I'll buyele ekhaya. Fortunately, I was able to get a summer jobs from Goodyear every year for 4 years as I was there. So this is where I started my career now on research and development. So this is where I learn now how to think of something and go to the lab and figure it out. I suffered from ulcers, acute ulcers. When you suffer from ulcers, your stomach is not working. You can even go to the loo and see what you ate. So there's no digestion. Painful. And Aulali, and I came to several hospitals, 20 days to 30 days a year. But there was no. So I then realized that medical aid, it's top notch. So I'm supposed to come here and leave 300,000 rands every year. So it's a calling from the hospital. So then one of my colleagues at work said, try this, give me something. And I tried it. It worked, but it didn't work. It worked and didn't work. But I could see there was something. So I then decided, let me see if I can make it, if I can produce it consistently, continuously, with same quality. So from that experience, I was able to put together several extracts from different plants and different seeds and combine them together to produce Galella, and it works. It worked for my daughter, who also had the same ulcers. It worked for me, who had the same ulcers. But as I prepare, I'll prepare a big batch. And my mother would take, her friends would take, my sister would take. Before we realized, we were running out of containers in the house. Once I buy a bottle and then put the stuff inside the bottle, people were asking, why don't you put a label? Oh my God, you're asking for too much. I was just doing this for you. You know, I'm not selling this thing. This is just for you. Nyagupa. Put a label if you want to know what's inside. Okay, fine. Putting a label was the most difficult exercise because it means now you have to think, what's inside this oil? How do you call it? So we went through a lot of metamorphosis trying to define the product. Finally, we came to an immune booster. The process then of building a product started then. Before I realized now I have an oil with a label, with a barcode. And then people started asking, how much? How big? Okay, now I need to come up with pricing. Until somebody said to me, when you are a Rolls Royce of oils, but you are selling like an Uno, you sell yourself like an Uno. Oh my God. Uno. I'm a Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce oil. So I started looking for that Rolls Royce. I realized, yes, we are a Rolls Royce. But I said, no, but this oil has to be available to even the Uno drivers, where those who think it's a Rolls Royce, they're not offended by those who come with their Unos in the same parking lot.
Welcome back to the show. As we head towards the end of our program today, we hear from those who have received aid from Tamim Jali.
From spending 30 days in hospital to spending close to none, Mr. Jali, fondly known as Galella, has gone to prove that a doctor can heal himself. He formulated Galella oil after suffering from acute ulcers for decades. Cooked up from his kitchen, Galella oil became an overnight need for many.
Me and my daughter have not been to hospital for more than 1 or 2 days, and our medical aid has dropped from 30,000 rands a month to 8,000 rands a month. So the research alone has paid off just on us. So this was, and hence we always say, this was not designed for COVID. COVID found it.
While filming with Mr. Jali, he made sure to still attend to his clients, and Noktula had this to share about her miracle telephonically.
My name is Noktula, let me start there. And then, so September, October, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I was told I'm terminal. And when I contacted Mr. Jali, I was struggling a lot with inflammation and pain initially. Range of movement was also not very good. I started taking Galella oil 3 times a day. And the one thing that was immediately noticeable was the less amount of pain and the swelling that quickly dropped. I should have still been on radiation now, and I came off radiation much quicker than I was expected to. And my recovery time, just to be honest, really decreased as opposed to what it should have been initially. So for me, getting your motion back when you're a chronic patient, being able to move around without pain, not having as much swelling, that is always a plus. And that was the first thing that I got from using Galella oil. Over time then, I noticed that it works very well with my other medication. Hence, I could get off radiation quicker than the normal time that you are then expected to be on chemo. Yeah.
Palo Mokolwane is a living testament of what Galella oil can really do. His family tested positive for the second wave of COVID, and when told about Mr. Mjali's homemade oil, he put it to the test.
It was amazing because in January when everyone came back from our holiday, I found out my wife and 2 kids, they tested positive from Limpopo. Look, being in this media industry, you read, you meet with people who are sick. Every day you are looking at the news and you realize everyone is like going. And at that time when it happened, my younger sister was positive with the husband, and I had to deliver some stuff to their house. Because of my family, I would just put some stuff at their gate, not even wanting them to come out. So then my younger brother, who's very close to me, he always at my house. And now when it got to him, it was even more frustrating because of this is the person that I interact with almost every day. Then it came home. Now it was in my house. And when you think that at a hospital, when people are infected, and then even the doctors will be going in there wearing the heavy PPEs, then I started asking myself, how am I going to survive? Because of these are people who are cooking, they are cleaning, they are touching almost everything in the house. Honestly speaking, it was terrifying experience. Then I was sitting and I saw the story running on TV. Lucky enough, I had one of the guys behind the story's number. I called and I told him the story. Quickly, they came to my rescue, and then somebody spoke of the Galella, says, no, we do have it, and then they brought it. The day he brought it, I didn't even want to open the gate for him, but he says, no, don't worry, just he gave me the instructions as to how to use it. I'm telling you, I used it from day one. I think on a 5th day, then I felt, no man, even the kids, because of what I was giving them, they started telling me that they are regaining their taste, their smell and stuff. And then I started relaxing a bit. Then I went on to research even further about it. Then the more I got to know about it was the more I started even feeling much better.
Stories Untold also went to Mdeni Hostel to visit their chief, Ubab Tisha. He was recently gifted the oil, and his first attempt helped him with fatigue.
Umzimba wami buvuka njalo nje ekuseni ukuvuka ukhathe ubuhlungu umzimba wami, kodwa njengathi ngitholela amacosi lawana ngivuke early ngabo 4 ngase ngifit ukuthi ngavuka ngihamba ngayogeza, kwakhombisa ukuthi no ukuthi ikhonto engiyitholile engiphilisayo. Mina mntana sekhaya ngendlela engifisa ngayo, ngifisa ukuthi kungancedeki mina ngedwa, ngifisa ukuthi le njengoba sengincedakele mina, ngifisa ukuthi nabantu balekhaya bencedeke. Uyabona ngoba noma isikhathi athi sisencane athi ngisasebenzisile ngoba ngazi nodokotela ukuthi ngeke ekulaphe ekujove manje kuphele manje isifo esegazini, kodwa ngifisa ukuqhubeka ngoba kube nomehluko for nge10 yamaconsi engiyitholile yalo muthi lona, ngabona ukuthi no, kusho ukuthi kuzofana ngiqhubeke nawo ngalezo zathi ukuthi no, ngiyabona ukuthi no, ngiyakwazi ukuvuka nje ebusuku ngivuke ngifit.
I can't believe myself because, growing up in the dusty streets of Middlelands, you don't see yourself to be so innovative to come up with life-changing solutions. I always ask myself, is it me who did this? short time away. You know, so every time, sometimes I'm like, you know, especially where the whole thing is going, because we are putting a lot of resources in research and development. I mean, as we speak right now, we are investigating so many things that are fundamental to the human physiology and the whole medicine. Because the way this thing works, it's like you have a Pandora box. Every day, you pop, okay, check, you know, I mean, yesterday, for example, this young lady said she had a cyst and it disappeared. So I'm like, okay, here's another a gift from this Pandora box. And then one of the things that we helped with psoriasis. Psoriasis is a skin disease that is so bad. And then one guy has been suffering from that thing for almost 30 years. At some stage, he said he wanted to kill himself because life was not worth living. You can just imagine itching skin permanently all the time. You know, you can't even stand up. You can't even, you know, I mean, the amount of diseases that we get to hear about, as we said, we don't claim anything. We don't say we do this, we do this. Just try it. Let's see what will happen. And then sometimes after 2 months, oh, this has been sorted. Okay. We don't know what this thing does. Every day we open there. Oh, nale. Ooh, nale. Ooh, nale.
From a life-threatening illness to his own drops of life, from being treated by nurses in hospitals to creating a network of countrywide nurses. Mr. Tamim Jali, you have displayed the true character of a born winner. Stories Untold salutes your strength.
And on that innovative note, we end our show here for today. Thank you so much for watching. From myself, Pule Molebati, and the rest of the